Hi, I'm Dr. Jane Coddington, and I'm a leadership coach and consultant. I provide coaching and specialized training to help people thrive as leaders. If you're here, you're probably a person who's doing well on your career path. Maybe you're already seen as a new and aspiring talent, or maybe you have your sights set on an advancement in your company. You may have a goal of becoming a supervisor, team leader, manager, or director. Some of you may already be in positions like these and are looking for ways to hone your skills. I can relate to all of that. I had those dreams myself, and I made them a reality earlier in my career, several times in fact. Along the way, I discovered that even though I had the education and expertise in my primary job roles, no one was there to show me how to lead others, or supervise people, or supervise teams. I figured that since I had good people skills, I could just figure it by myself. And that's what I did. The trouble is, it was trial and error, and took many years of study, reading, sent myself to training, and testing strategies and approaches to see what worked best. Some of my best learning came from mistakes I made. I want to tell you about a few of these and what I learned, because that way maybe you can avoid some of these common mistakes of new supervisors. Just a few of these tips can help you give you an immediate edge on your leadership and supervision. Talk to anyone that supervises people, and you can learn about some of these common pitfalls and mistakes. I'm going to share 4 with you, but there are others too. Most of us, supervising others is like nothing we've ever done before. It sounds easy on the surface, but it's quite complex. We do our best, but most of us unwittingly make some mistakes along the way. You can talk to people whose leadership you respect. Have some conversations with them and ask what they know now that they wish they'd known then. Also think about your own experiences with supervisors, managers, or bosses. Did you ever experience something and say to yourself, if I were the boss, I would never do that? I know I did. I'll share a few of my own learnings here, and these will be common mistakes I've made and seen others make, and then how you could avoid those. The 4 common mistakes I'm going to share are failing to ask your team for feedback, supervising everyone the same way, changing everything, and giving too little direction. The first one is failing to ask your team for feedback. Now, that might seem counterintuitive because, after all, you are the supervisor and they're the team following you. However, supervisors, as talented as they are not all-knowing. Everybody has blind spots, and two-way communication not only helps you to see those blind spots and improve on them, but it also helps to build trust and teamwork. Your team can be invaluable to you in becoming a better supervisor for them. So have those conversations and ask them, what can I do to support you? How can I help you to do your job better? Supervising everyone the same way. People do this because it seems like the best way to be fair and equitable to everyone on the team. But really, if you step back and think about it, each and every one of us is different. What motivates you? Does the same thing that motivates you motivate everybody else? Look at your team. See how they function. What motivates each person? Think about personality considerations. Some people see the big picture. Some people are detail-oriented. Some people are people-oriented. Some people are task-oriented. Some people like ideas. Some people like big visions. Some people like to really dig into the smallest of details. Think about the skills each person brings, the tasks they're asked to do, and the roles that they're in. So you see, all these differences add up to supervising everyone the same way is not fair. Supervising people needs to be somewhat individual so that it works for each person. Think of the big picture and think of the outcomes you're trying to achieve. Changing everything. This is a really common error that people make. New leaders come in, they want to make their mark, they want to be seen as a strong leader, that somebody that comes in and takes charge And so one of the ways that people do that right away is to change everything. However, when that happens, sometimes as a new supervisor, you don't know enough about the background, the backstory, the history, the vision, the day-to-day operation to make wise choices in what you're changing. And making change can be perceived as making impact, but sometimes that impact is not positive. And then later on, you have to clean up what you started with those changes. Your team, remember this, is already experiencing change, and that is having a new leader, you, coming on board. Even if they know you, you're in different roles now. So that change in and of itself can be disruptive. Now the opposite is changing nothing, and that has a downside too. And changing nothing is what I had done a couple times, and I realize in retrospect that it really wasn't a very good choice, because then the status quo is there. It's kind of like those remnants of the old regime. The old supervisor is still there, and even though you're different, so it's kind of like that doesn't fit very well. So really, the best bet here is to learn, observe, make your notes, make some changes, make sure people know who you are, get to know people, and make those changes that are effective and important when the time is right. Don't change things just for the sake of changing, just so that people see you as an aggressive leader. And finally, the last mistake I'm going to share with you today is giving too little direction. If you're coming into a team, especially if you've got team members that have been on board for longer than you, that have a lot of experience, you might see those team members as talented and skilled and knowledgeable, and it seems like everything's all together and that they really don't need direction from you. They might need some oversight, but not direction. But quite often, people do need direction and like it. They like structure. Most folks like that. And when you're a new supervisor, people might hesitate to ask you questions or get clarification or even ask for help. The reason for that is they don't want to look stupid, they don't want to look incompetent, they don't want you to view them as subpar. So it's up to you as the supervisor to take that initiative and over-communicate and give clear directions right up front. If you're a self-directed person, and I am, so this is a mistake I would make, I sometimes don't realize that people would like more direction than I'm giving, and that's a challenge for me. So I need to really remind myself to give more direction than I'm inclined to do. So again, over-communicate at first, and then back off later. Think about your own experiences in being supervised. Think about your own perspectives on leadership and being led. And think about what we've been talking about here. If you've got some questions about these common mistakes I'm sharing, or others that you've experienced yourself, please feel free to leave them below in the comment boxes. Ask questions, make comments, share your ideas and insights, and we'll get a good dialogue going, and I'll respond to you too. Just make sure to keep personal information about your past or current coworkers out of the comments and discussions. So the common mistakes that new supervisors make can kind of trip them up, and sometimes it just adds to some frustration of learning curve in supervision. So as my career progressed, and I learned how to supervise, at some point in time I became supervisor of supervisors, of people who had their own teams. And I began to be able to give them some knowledge and skills to do some training and coaching for them. And so, because I knew that would help them build in confidence and also to do better with their teams. So I provided individual coaching, and I also provided monthly supervision for my team leaders. It was great to be able to give people the tools they needed and also watch their confidence and effectiveness grow. In doing that, I found one area that seems to be a real challenge for most people. And since I've been coaching executives and leaders, this comes up time and time again. It comes up especially in fast-paced and demanding environments. Can you guess what it is? If you guessed giving feedback or performance appraisals, you are 100% correct. Supervisors can get pretty anxious about this and sometimes avoid it altogether. Sometimes people try, but then the attempt backfires. And that can be discouraging, and then so people will avoid it, give up, try some kind of, you know, electronic version that keeps them very distant from the process and probably isn't very effective. And I've got some strategies that work and are pretty easy to implement. And the best part is they help to bring your stress down about giving feedback while at the same time really helping to motivate and support your employees. So the next video that we're going to be showing in a couple of days is focused on giving feedback, and I'm going to share those strategies with you. I'll send an email in a few days so you can check it out. Meanwhile, leave me comments and questions below, and I'll respond to you. So have a good couple of days, and I'll see you soon. Be well. Hi, I'm Dr. Jane Coddington.